Levesky and Connie Hillman and Jennifer Bergman and Stephanie Bestel. This is a $2,500 decrease from last year's payment, but with our new billing software, city staff is tracking their time on EDA endeavors this year. The 2022 contract will be more accurately reflected by how much time staff actually spends.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Please continue.
Thank you. Item number 2 is to consider police officer resignation. And the motion is to accept police officer Tyler Airstrop's resignation with regret.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Stengline. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Thank you.
he was hired on 12/14/2020, and he submitted his resignation on 1/5/2021, and the resignation is attached.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor to accept with regret, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next item is the approval of a memorandum of understanding for Culzer grievance settlement. And the motion is to approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Brainerd and Teamsters Local Number 346 to settle the Culzer grievance by allowing Lieutenant Culzer to advance to Step 7 effective January 1, 2021. And I so move.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Stunek. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Johnson.
So this grievance arose from Lieutenant Culzer being promoted to the lieutenant position after having 2 satisfactory employee reviews. And then as a lieutenant, he got an exceeds. So he was under the impression that he could move to Step 7. We weren't so sure. The contract language was vague. This settlement moves him to Step 7, but we are going to work towards clarifying language in future contracts with our unions that you need 3 years in the same position to move to Step 7.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor to approve the memorandum, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Number 4 is consider the next steps of hiring a police officer. So, police chief. Consider next steps on police chief hiring. So staff considered a number of possible options. One was to consider a conditional job offer to the candidate number 3, Victor Siebenek. One option was to explore the option of Chief McQuiston extending his retirement date. 3 was continue with the council's plan to have an acting police chief and immediately repost the position. And the 4th option was to utilize an acting police chief for an extended period of time and wait to repost the position until July 2021 or January 2022. We had some discussion down at the Personnel and Finance Committee. We came out with a split vote. The prevailing motion was to move staff's recommendation to utilize option 4 as described above, further to request that the Civil Service Commission conduct an acting police chief examination process as required by state law for entities that utilize the Civil Service Commission, and I so move.
Motion by Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Stunek. I imagine there might be some discussion.
There will be some discussion, and I'll let Alderman Sunik speak to the motion.
My recommendation coming out of committee was to move forward, not to post a position for police chief yet. Chief McQuiston, who has retired, I hope he's doing well. He recommended and gave Deputy Chief Mike Bestel the blessing to move forward as acting chief. I would like to see the council approve that and move forward with Mike Bestel as acting chief. He's already the deputy chief inside the department. He knows the inner workings of it. And I would recommend that we do it till the end of the year with whoever it may be, whether it be our city administrator, our HR director, whatever, just do constant checks and see how things are going internally. That would be my recommendation.
Thank you.
Nice and smooth.
Any further discussion? Yep, Tiffany.
So I was the dissenting vote. I don't think we're going to get better or different results doing this again in a year. I think that as flawed as this was, I think we have a candidate who has expressed a great willingness and eagerness for the position, and I think we should move forward with him.
Okay, that's candidate number 3.
That's candidate number 3, Victor Siebenek.
Okay,
President, I can speak to that.
sure. Mr. O'Day?
Over the last couple of weeks, when things have become more difficult, the public has probably spoken out more about their opinions. I've heard from individuals within law enforcement within our town that are either there now or in the past, that the general sentiment is that our officers would like to see Bestel take over for the time being at least, if not for an extended amount of time. So having heard what our officers would like to see, it's my opinion that they should get what they want at this point. So I'm going to support this motion.
Okay, so you're speaking on behalf of the motion, in favor of the motion?
In favor.
Right on. Mr. Pritchett?
My concern would be, I can see both sides. What are the checks looking like? Okay, because you're going to be putting extra pressure on Mr. Bestel when he takes it acting. You're actually kind of shortening our, the numbers of police by putting him in there and not replacing. I would just like to know, are they scheduled checks? Who's doing the checks? Are there criteria for the checks? Because, to come up to him and say, I'm sorry, but, we need to make a change, that's going to be kind of a difficult decision.
Mr. Chair?
Oh, yep, go ahead, Mr. Stunek.
No, and I agree with your saying. I think that's something that can be determined as we move forward, and maybe it's something with the new acting chief between that and HR and Jennifer, they could come up with some kind of criteria, because he knows better than we do.
Okay. Mayor Badot, did you have your hand up? No? I did not. Okay, all right, just checking. Any further discussion on the motion is number 4, where we utilize the plan in place for an acting police chief for up to a year? Is that kind of, and this has to go back to civil service for approval?
Yeah, the motion is to request that Civil Service Commission conduct an acting police chief examination process.
Right on. Okay. Let's vote this by roll call. Would you take the roll, Administrator Bergman?
Absolutely. Pritchett.
Yes.
Stengline.
No.
Erickson.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
Stunek.
Yes?
Johnson.
Yes.
Bevins.
Yes, that motion passes. You may continue, Chairman Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This next item also had a split vote coming out of committee. I'll toss it over to Tiffany to make the motion on item number 5 on our agenda, Tiffany.
So, the motion is to accept the proration of the SRO position. We were able to reassign that officer to other city activities. So I will move the recommendation to accept the contract amendment.
Second?
We have a motion by Stengline, a second by Stunek. Any discussions?
Well, I think I pretty much covered it. Being that school has not been in session and the officer has not had to be at the schools, we've been able to use him as a patrolman. The school district has requested that they be relieved of some of the cost in the contract.
Excellent. Councilman Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I voted against the motion, just as I did this last year. The contract we have with the school says we'll provide a school resource officer for up to 173 days. So anything less than 173 days is fulfilling the contract and fulfilling our obligation. So I just voted against cutting them a $13,000 check for no reason.
Okay. Any further discussion? Here.
Mr. Chair, I feel like
Yes.
I should also mention that we chose to not take action on the second half billing, and that we'll come back to that at a later point if they
So it's
ask.
just for
something
the
there.
first half of the year?
Yep.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to reduce the school resource contract for the first half billing by $13,000. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign?
Aye.
Motion carries. Chairman Johnson, please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 6 is informational, but it's good information. Our workers' comp renewal numbers came in, and our experience modification came in at a 0.79 this year, which is really good, which is low. So we saved about $52,000 in the working funds from what we budgeted to pay for workers' comp this year. So saved about $52,000 that we didn't expect there, so that's good
That
news.
is fantastic information, and just for your information, in the next 2 years when I'm chair, we're not gonna be allowing any crummy information, only good.
I will only bring the good information.
Got the attorney standing with,
I'm just impressed, our first meeting with our new chair, look what we've done already. It's amazing.
And only 2
we
split
voted
votes.
against Gabe twice. All right, Gabe, keep them rolling.
Thank you. The final item is the League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust Liability Coverage Waiver Form. And the motion would be to approve and submit the liability coverage waiver form with does not waive the monetary limits on municipal tort liability established by Minnesota statutes, section 466.04, option selected. And I so move.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Stunek. Any further discussion? Mr. Johnson?
This is something we do annually, and it's recommended by our insurance agents to not waive the monetary limits. So any lawsuits against the city are subject to statutory limits written in state law. If we waive that, we would be opening ourselves up for much larger liability if something really bad were to happen.
Thank you for the explanation. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
End of report.
Thank you, Chairman Johnson. Chairman O'Day, Safety and Public Works, you're up.
Yes, we have 4 items on our agenda. One was removed, number 1 was removed, based on a recommendation from our attorney. We just took it off the agenda. The rest of this was a lot of good information as well. So, number 2, we have a motion to authorize the bid for improvement 1901 Northwest 4th Street, the roundabout from about the Civic Center area all the way up to Washington Street, reconstruction. And I so move.
Second.
Motion by O'Day, second by Erickson. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. President, this was a project that was supposed to go through last year, I believe due to COVID. I believe it was pushed back to this year. If you want to add anything to that, Paul, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so last year we recommended to the city council that we push this project back 1 year due to some right-of-way acquisition issues we were running into and delayed responses. So we're just looking to move into the bidding phase of this project under the anticipation that these will work themselves out by the time we get to construction. We're in the agreement phase with the Brainerd Amateur Hockey Foundation, waiting to receive a red line version of the agreement from them, which authorizes us to construct that parking area in which we are taking from them or they are losing. So that is where we're at right now. We're just looking for authorization to bid the project as presented here in the packet tonight.
Any questions on this project? Before we vote on, we have the motion and a second. My question, Mr. Sandy or Mr. O'Day, there were some other issues with right-of-way acquisition. And part of it was, I don't know who it was, the Army Corps of Engineers or whoever, digging into the pit on the side of the hockey arena, as well as another property owner 1 block away. And that was also part of why we held this off. Is that all cleared?
Yes, if I may, Mr. President, yes, we have settled with the other property owner that we were looking for acquisition for. And in that meantime, we have received all of our wetland permits to construct that parking area, which was where we left off at the agreement with BAF. Once we received the permits, we worked with the city attorney to draft those and turn those to the appropriate parties.
Right. Well, this is good news. We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none? This is just a authorization for bid, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Chairman O'Day, keep going.
Yeah, so the third and fourth third and fourth parts of our agenda were basically one long presentation. One being this year's projects and the rest being a 5-year plan, which culminated in a motion to approve our 5-year street and sewer capital improvements plan, and I so move.
Second.
I have a motion by O'Day, a second by Pritchett to approve the 5-year capital plan. Any discussion?
If you,
Didn't feel like a long presentation.
it was very interesting, a lot of good
You
information.
guys get any sewer videos?
No.
Do
That's
not.
coming, that's coming.
No, yeah, he's promised.
Promising him next week.
He's holding out on you. I'm just telling you.
He's breaking them in, or
Yeah, breaking them in, right? And it makes the presentations go faster. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor to approve the 5-year capital plan, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that motion carries. Chairman O'Day.
And that was it. End of
So
report.
it is. Next up, unfinished business, consider the appointments of the city council board commission liaisons. Between myself and Mayor Bedeau, you should all have gotten where you wanted to be. Normally, we don't approve these, but we have one open spot. I don't remember what that one is.
Riverfront, perhaps?
Rental dwelling, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, the rent, my favorite, the rental committee. Anybody want that before we approve these?
Sounds like it's your favorite.
I would just as soon whack it. I think the fact that it's empty is just a good step in the right direction. Hearing no volunteers, does anybody wish to, we'll just make this official, approve the list as presented.
I'd make that motion.
second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Stunek. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you all for taking in a little extra duties on those, and they're really important. Next up is committee resignations. To accept with regret, Jerry Sinner from the Economic Development Authority. Is there a motion to accept that?
I'd move to accept with regret.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Pritchett. Any further discussion outside of the fact that I served with Jerry for 2 years? You did a great job, and we'll miss him a lot. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up is Mayor Bedeau committee recommendations.
Well, we got a lot of committee recommendations tonight, obviously, with the new year. Do you want to do these all at once?
I'd like to give it a shot.
All right, let's try it here. All right, so we have the Cable TV Advisory Committee, term expiring 12/31 of 2021, Merritt Bussier. The Park Board, term expiring 12/31 of 2022, Kara Schaefer. The Public Utilities Commission, term expiring 12/31 of 20. I think that's a typo. 25. I was going to say, tough business. He's in the room, so tough business to him. You're recommended to not be on it, evidently.
It's just for all of the 20s.
So, Mark O'Day, the Rental Dwelling License Board of Appeals, term expiring 12/31 of 22, Michael Duval. The Rental Dwelling License Board of Appeals, same thing, term expiring 12/31 of 2022, Linda Marsh. The Transportation Advisory Committee, term expiring 12/31 of 2022, Doug Stenberg. Those are my recommendations.
Mr. Mayor and Mr. President, if we could give Mark O'Day his own special appointment so I can abstain from that vote, and do this in 2 pieces.
All right, Mr. Pritchett, are you motioning for all of them but Mark O'Day?
Of course, because you don't know how long you serve.
It's
figure it out.
eternal. Is there a second to approve all of the mayor's recommendations outside of Mr. O'Day? Second by Erickson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Is there a motion to approve Mark O'Day to the public?
I'd move to approve Mark O'Day to the currently open PUC position.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Johnson, second by Tad Erickson to approve Mark O'Day for the Public Utilities Commission. Any abstentions?
I'll abstain.
The rest of you, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Okay, anything else, Mayor Bedeau, on that one?
Not on that one.
call for applicants. You want to read your call for applicants?
Here we go. So if you want to be the lucky people that get to have your name called and have Mark fumbled across and Mike abstain from your name, you too can apply for a position with the city. These are the most important things that we have as a city. I can't stress that enough, that if you are interested in helping your fellow citizens and your neighbors, please, please, please apply for these positions. And here we go. We got a long list. I believe this includes the ones we just said as well, correct? We're just gonna say them all and pretend that they are. So the mayor recommends terms expiring 12/31 of said year. Cable TV Advisory Committee, 1 term expiring 2021, pending appointment. 1 term expiring 2022. Charter Commission, 2 terms expiring 2024. Housing Redevelopment Authority, 1 term expiring 2025, pending appointment. Park Board, 1 term expiring 2025, pending appointment. Public Utilities Commission, 1 term expiring 2025, pending appointment. Rental Dwelling License Board of Appeals, 5 terms. Holy heck, you all can get involved. Expiring 2022 and 2 pending appointments. Transportation Advisory Committee, 3 terms expiring 2022, pending appointment. I also am looking for the following with terms expiring September 7th of said year. That is the Economic Development Authority, the EDA, 1 term expiring 2025 and 1 term expiring 2026. So if you were able to follow along with that, you're better than
Can
I
you
am.
repeat the part about, oh, Fred?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Give me, Chairman Johnson.
Thank you. It just says Housing and Redevelopment Authority, 1 term expiring 2025, pending appointment. But in your appointments, you didn't appoint anybody to the HRA.
That would be a typo as well, because we did not choose to make that selection quite yet. We are looking to see.
So there's still opening.
So there is
still an
one opening,
You
and
are
there is an
correct.
application that you're sitting on for a while.
We're waiting just to see, leaving that one open for a little bit, see if anybody else applies. Not that the people are not qualified. I believe we're looking for somebody with a little bit of background in finance, I believe was what they were hoping for. So just keeping an eye out there. But much like Ron Burgundy, I will read whatever you put in front of my face. So
Thank you for the clarification, Mr. Chair.
Remind me to bring 3 of these for Mayor Bedell next time. Okay, and the council president has a couple of open terms for the 1 term for the Police and Fire Civil Service Commission, expiring 2023, and of course, the ever-present Water Tower Committee has 2 positions available. One note on these committees, we have 2 committees that I know of with more council members than the appointed liaisons. I'll give you an example. The EDA, I'm stepping down as the liaison. Mr. O'Day is taking my spot. But we have 2, I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, I thought I heard some comment. But we have open spots. So in order to keep the board moving, I'll stay until we can fill that as a citizen. But I'd like to fill those spots with citizens. So please apply. Also, the Charter Commission has that same situation with myself and Mr. O'Day. We don't want to fill the boards with council members. We really want citizen input, so please apply. Okay. Next up is the public forum. It's the time allocated for citizens. We can't have we might online.
That might have been the voice.
Right, it might have been the voice. Anyway, this is the time allocated for citizens to bring matters not on the agenda to the attention of the council. Time limits may be opposed. Sean, is there anybody?
1 caller, and the request on mute is being ignored, so they must not want to talk.
Okay, got it. So we will close the public forum. We will go to staff reports. We'll cruise around in here, and then I will look up there and see if there's any staff members that are here virtually. Administrator Bergman, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Just a couple of things. First of all, on Thursday, I have a meeting with the Downtown Business Coalition to discuss the $15,000 contribution from the EDA to the Downtown Business Coalition. Last week, the Charter Commission did meet, went through a number of recommended changes by Attorney Langle, had some that were removed and some that they asked to be brought back for further discussion. They will be meeting again in February. You should expect those changes to the charter in an ordinance sometime following their next Charter Commission meeting. Also, today, we had a Cable TV Advisory Committee meeting, kind of a reconvening of this group with a couple of new members. I thought we had a lot of really great discussion, and I guess I would defer to President Bevins should he have additional items he wanted to share with that. The other thing that we got in the mail, which I think is kind of fun, the first graders at Garfield Elementary have this little guy, and his name is Flat Stanley. And he loves adventures, and their first graders are working on a geography project, and they're trying to find special places for this little guy that we have right here in the Brainerd Lakes area. And so what they've asked us to do is take him and take pictures with him. They would like to have this back by February 15th. So I don't know if any council members would be interested in taking this little guy and taking a picture or two. Certainly streets, parks, police, fire department. Well, have a little fun with this little guy for the first graders at Garfield Elementary.
The mayor will absolutely be taking him to the water tower.
All right, I will make sure the mayor has it to start.
Welcome, Stanley.
Then, last but not least, I know we have closed the city hall to the public and our staff are working from home. As you know, we started doing this back in November as a result of having 14 staff members either having to quarantine because of COVID or having a positive COVID test. We did that, number one, for the safety of our staff, but then also to make sure that we could keep the operations of the city running. We've continued to see the decline of COVID cases here in Crow Wing County. And I am thinking I would like to bring us back to City Hall. Just wanted to raise this with the council. My thought is Monday, January 25th, unless there are any objections or concerns from the council.
Doesn't look like it.
And that concludes my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Schubert, HR Department, anything to add? No. Connie Hillman, Finance Department. Paul Sandy, Engineering Department?
No, I mean, I just, thank you, Mr. President. I've taken the last month the opportunity to take a headfirst dive into the Parks Department, and it's been very good up to this point. I've had 3 parks tours with existing employees and 1 park board member, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to continue moving our Parks Department and once they move down to the Street Department in kind of the same cohesive direction, so.
Thank you for doing that. All right. Todd Scott, anything from PUC? Nope. Anything from the Attorney's Department, Joe? No, sir. All right. Anything from Mr. Chansky and the Community Development Department?
Nothing tonight, Mr. President.
Thank you. Acting Police Chief so far, Bestel, anything to add?
Mr. President, sorry, I have nothing to add to the other Chief McQuiston's monthly report.
All right, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Then we will move on to the mayor's report.
Oh, you just
Time limits will definitely be.
That's right. Just when you thought you were done with me. The only comment I really want to make tonight is obviously with our restaurants and our establishments being able to open back up, I just want to thank those business owners for everything that they've done and all of the hard work they've put into, basically shutting themselves down and dealing with the difficult portion of trying to keep a business alive when you can't have people coming in. What I want to say to the citizens, obviously, is make sure that you're out there going to these establishments, specifically the local ones, and trying to do the best you can. But the thing I want to mention to the council is I've had a lot of those business owners talk to me recently and saying that they've got ideas for what they want to do next year. And a lot of them are coming up with creative plans, knowing that this will be another situation where things will probably be difficult. And I just want us to have an open mind as we go into the next year, because those ideas have to start happening now, and those questions have to start arising now. So as they start coming to us as a city, I think it is very important for us to be as open and understanding and willing to work with them as humanly possible. End of report.
Thank you very much. Alderman Erickson?
One thing I would add is the opportunity to tour the streets tomorrow. Thank all for not only that, but also the presentation. Thank you. The opportunity to tour the streets department tomorrow, looking forward to that, and then also thanks for the presentation.
Thank you. Alderman Pritchett?
Just real quickly say, I know a lot of people's nerves are kind of frayed and getting a little on edge and anxious, and just take a deep breath, be patient, be kind, and be understanding. We'll get through this.
Thank you. Chairman O'Day?
I have nothing to add.
Chairman Johnson?
I have two things to add. One, the little ones, kindergarten through second grade, went back to school today, so good day for my household having a second grader. And I just want to thank all of the elementary school teachers and all the teachers at 181 for putting up with this pretty terrible year. And let's keep getting the kids back in school. We're rolling them in slowly, but hopefully they'll all be back soon. And I mentioned this at the P&F meeting tonight, but I figure I should mention it to the council. 2021 is the year of the budget. We are starting our budget talks in March, and we will be talking about the budget every single month, March through December, broken down into bite-sized pieces. Don't get too excited, but it's going to happen. Thank you.
Maybe then we won't have to have special meetings.
Yeah, that's true.
God, let's hope not. We sure like those. Thank you, Chairman Johnson, with help from the Finance Department. Councilman Stunek, anything to add?
I have nothing tonight there, Mr. President.
Councilperson Stingline, anything to add?
Well, I just wanted to extend, I guess, compliments to the plowing crew, because it really must take an excellent plowing job to get somebody to send a letter to the city saying what a great job they did. So I just want to thank them and compliment them on their work.
Thank you very much. Welcome aboard. I just reiterate what City Administrator Bergman had. We said we had the Cable TV Advisory Board, and for all those decades that didn't meet, if I'd have been on it, I'd have wanted to meet daily. John Strong did a great job, and we've got a lot to discuss, and we've got some good people on, and we're trying to make government as accessible to the city as possible. Two other things I forgot to mention last meeting, to thank you to all of you for putting your faith in me as your chairman for the next 2 years. I truly appreciate that. And I especially want to thank Gabe Johnson for taking us through the first year of the COVID. My first meeting was an eye-opener, and you constantly got to be watching that monitor, and it's still easy to miss something. So I know it wasn't easy learning. Thank you. It was hard for me, and I've done it before. And also to staff, and especially City Administrator Bergman. We all had to learn the hard way how to run a meeting on Zoom and how to operate a 200-person plus whatever company and keep things rolling. And to all of our employees, thank you for working through this. I got to sit through my first going through the meeting like Gabe did every 2 weeks, and you really learn a different perspective that COVID brings to our organization, not just the employees but the whole community. And you have to look at everything different, and thank all of you for looking at things differently for the last year and a half, because it was sure an eye-opener for me my first time. So thank you again. That ends our council committee reports. Next up, we're looking for a motion to adjourn to the closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statutes 13D.05 subdivision 3.
So moved.
B. This is for attorney-client privilege to discuss. Am I not going fast enough? To discuss the Tom's Backhoes. I'm gonna drag this out. To discuss the Tom's Backhoe Service, Inc. versus the City of Brainerd Petty litigation. We got a motion by Stingline, second by Johnson. All in favor to adjourn to closed session, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. So if you don't belong in this closed session, there's 2 more after this. I ask you to shut your computers off or leave the room.
My favorite